Have you ever felt like life is just a series of random, chaotic events that no matter how hard you try, things just keep going wrong? If so, then you need to hear this story. This isn't just any story. It's a divine narrative that explains everything about patience, trust, and the unseen plan of God. This is the story of Prophet Yusuf, or Joseph, and it's a masterclass in navigating the darkest moments of life with unwavering faith. Our story begins with a young boy, Yusuf, beloved by his father, Prophet or Jacob. He was blessed with striking beauty, but his inner beauty, his wisdom, and pure heart was even greater. One night, Yusuf had a remarkable dream. He saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars all bowing down to him. He excitedly shared this with his father, who immediately understood its profound meaning. He cautioned his son, "Oh, my dear son, do not tell your brothers of this dream, lest they plot against you." Jacob knew the human heart. He knew that even brotherly love could be poisoned by jealousy. And he was right. Yusuf's 10 older brothers were consumed by envy. They saw their father's affection for Yusuf and his younger brother Binyamin as a slight against them. Their jealousy festered, growing from a whisper of discontent into a monstrous plan. They convinced themselves that if they could just get rid of Yusuf, their father's love would return to them. So, one day, under the pretense of taking Yusuf out to play, they put their terrible plan into motion. They took him far from home, to a desolate, empty well. Imagine the fear in that young boy's heart as his own brothers, the ones who were supposed to protect him, turned against him. They stripped him of his beautiful coat, a gift from their father, and threw him into the darkness of the well. To cover their tracks, they stained the coat with the blood of a goat and returned to their father, weeping, claiming a wolf had devoured their beloved brother. Prophet Yaqub's heart shattered. He knew, deep down, that their story was a lie. The coat was intact, not torn to shreds, as it would be after a wolf attack. But what could he do? He was a father and a prophet. He turned to the only source of true comfort and strength. He said, "I will bear this with beautiful patience, and it is God whose help I seek against." Will you describe this concept of beautiful patience? Or Sabr Jamil is not just gritting your teeth and enduring. It's an active, hopeful patience, trusting that even in the deepest pain, God has a plan. Meanwhile, Yusuf was alone in the well, but he was never truly alone. God was with him. Soon, a caravan traveling to Egypt stopped at the well for water. When they lowered their bucket, they were shocked to pull up a beautiful young boy. Seeing a chance for profit, they took him to Egypt and sold him as a slave. Who bought him? Not just anyone, but a high-ranking official of Egypt, the Aziz, whose wife was named Zul. The Quran tells us that the Aziz told his wife, "Take good care of him. Perhaps he will be a benefit to us, or we might adopt him as a son." Even in slavery, God was elevating Yusuf's station, placing him in a house of power and influence. Yusuf grew into an exceptionally handsome and wise young man. God had bestowed upon him knowledge and judgment, but his beauty became his next great test. Zuleika, the wife of the Aziz, became infatuated with him. She tried to seduce him, a relentless temptation within the very walls of his home. One day, she cornered him, locking the doors and demanding he give in to her desires. This was a critical moment. Yusuf could have rationalized. He could have given in to pressure, but his faith was his shield. He cried out, "I seek refuge in God. Indeed, He is my master, who has made my stay pleasant. Truly, the wrongdoers will never succeed." He ran for the door, and as a deed she grabbed his shirt from behind, tearing it. Just at that moment, her husband, the Aziz, walked in. Trapped Zuleika immediately lied, accusing Yusuf of attacking her. But God's plan is perfect. A witness from her own household, a wise person, perhaps even an infant who miraculously spoke, offered a simple, brilliant solution. He said, "If his shirt is torn from the front, then she has told the truth, and he is the liar. But if his shirt is torn from the back, then she has lied, and he is the truthful." They looked at Yusuf's shirt. It was torn from the back. The evidence was undeniable. Yusuf's innocence was proven, but the scandal was out. To protect her own reputation, Zulika made a choice. She had Yusuf thrown into prison. Think about this. He was abandoned by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and now imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit. From the outside, his life looked like one disaster after another. But Yusuf knew better. In the darkness of the prison, he turned to God and said, "My Lord, prison is more dear to me than what they call me to. Unless you turn their plot away from me, I might yield to them and become one of the ignorant." He chose the hardship of prison over the sin of disobedience. The prison became his sanctuary and his platform. God had given him the ability to interpret dreams, a gift he used to guide his fellow prisoners. 2 men, a cupbearer and a baker, came to him with their dreams. Yusuf interpreted them with perfect accuracy, telling the cupbearer he would be freed and serve the king again, while the baker would be executed. Before they parted, Yusuf asked the cupbearer, "Mention me to your master, the king, when you are freed." But what happened? The devil made the cupbearer forget, and so Yusuf remained in prison for several more years. Another test of patience. Another lesson in relying only on God, not on people. Years passed. Then, one day, the king of Egypt had a disturbing dream. He saw 7 fat cows being eaten by 7 lean ones, and 7 green ears of grain next to 7 dry ones. None of his magicians or advisors could interpret it. Suddenly, the cupbearer remembered. He remembered the young man in prison who had perfectly interpreted his own dream years ago. Yusuf was brought out of prison, but not before demanding his name be cleared first. He insisted the king investigate Zulika's case, proving his integrity. The truth came out, and Yusuf was fully exonerated. He then stood before the king and interpreted the dream. He foretold 7 years of bountiful harvest, followed by 7 years of severe famine. But he didn't just deliver the news. He offered a complete economic plan to save the nation. Store the grain during the good years, he advised, to prepare for the bad. The king was so impressed by Yusuf's wisdom and integrity that he appointed him as the treasurer of Egypt, the keeper of the man who was once a slave was now one of the most powerful men in the land. From the well to slavery, to prison, to the palace. Every step, every trial, was a part of God's meticulous plan to place him exactly where he needed to be. The famine arrived, just as Yusuf had predicted. It gripped the entire region, including the land of Canaan, where his family lived. Hearing there was grain in Egypt, Jacob sent his 10 sons to buy food. And who did they have to stand before to ask for help? Their own brother, Yusuf, whom they had left for dead years ago. He recognized them immediately, but they had no idea who this powerful Egyptian official was. Yusuf treated them with respect, but also tested them. He gave them their provisions, but demanded they bring their youngest brother, Binyamin. The next time they came, to ensure their return, he secretly had their payment put back in their sacks. They returned to their father Jacob, who was hesitant to let Binyamin go, fearing he would lose him just as he lost Yusuf. But starvation forced his hand. He took a solemn promise from them and sent them back to Egypt. This time, Yusuf devised a plan to keep Binyamin with him. He hid the king's royal cup in Binyamin's sack, and then had him accused of theft. The penalty, according to their own family law, was to be enslaved. The brothers were devastated. They pleaded with Yusuf, but he was firm. They returned to their father with the terrible news. This was the final blow for old Jacob. He had lost Yusuf, and now his grief was so immense that he wept until he lost his sight. But even blind and heartbroken, his faith did not waver. He turned to his sons and said, "Go and inquire about Yusuf and his brother, and do not despair of the mercy of God. Indeed, no one despairs of God's mercy except the disbelieving people." Driven by their father's hope, the brothers returned to Egypt one last time, humbled and desperate. It was, at this moment of their complete vulnerability, that Yusuf chose to reveal himself. He looked at them and asked, "Do you know what you did to Yusuf and his brother when you were ignorant?" The realization dawned on them. Their world turned upside down. They stammered. "Are you really Yusuf?" He replied, "I am Yusuf, and this is my brother. God has certainly been gracious to us. Indeed, he who fears God and is patient, then indeed, God does not allow to be lost the reward of the doers of good." This is the pinnacle of the story. Forgiveness, after decades of suffering caused by their hands, his first words were of mercy. He sent them back with his own shirt, telling them to cast it over their father's face. When they did, Prophet Jacob's sight was miraculously restored. The entire family then migrated to Egypt, and as they entered the city, Yusuf raised his parents upon the throne, and then his brothers and his parents all bowed down before him. The dream he had as a little boy had come true, not as an act of arrogance, but as a sign of respect and a fulfillment of God's divine decree. Yusuf's story teaches us that what we perceive as tragedy might be a hidden blessing. The well was his protection. Slavery was his path to a house of influence. Prison was his spiritual retreat. Every hardship was a stepping stone, perfectly placed by God to lead him to his destiny. It teaches us that jealousy destroys, but patience and faith rebuild. It shows us that, even when we are wronged, the highest spiritual station is forgiveness. So, the next time you feel lost in the darkness of your own well, remember Yusuf. Have beautiful patience, trust in the plan, and never, ever despair of God's mercy. Because the one who is writing your story is the best of all planners. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that feeds the soul.